Good afternoon, this is Eric Markland of Markland Designs of Atlanta, and today I'll be doing another slideshow video of this beautiful 2003 Honda Accord that I had the pleasure of working on a few months ago. So this one came in for a wiring rescue as far as audio, as well as a wiring rescue underneath the hood for some of the engine components. He had an issue with the car not charging properly and starting, along with the audio system that he just was not satisfied with the way it sounded or the installation. So I had the task of kind of troubleshooting the audio and the engine components and figuring out what was wrong and then actually fixing everything. So the car puts out well over 600 horsepower. He has a K-series swapped turbo motor. And with the most K-series swapped Accords, you do have to relocate the battery to the rear, especially when you're actually, running a turbo. So it had a lot of just wires that just weren't properly done. So I'm gonna get into that. And like I said, if you stay to the very end of the video, I will post pictures of how it came in and how everything was fixed. I wasn't very satisfied with the way a lot of the components in the engine bay were mounted. So I actually laser cut my own mounts and used some Stinger accessories and distribution blocks to properly mount and secure all the wiring underneath the engine bay that was needed to fix some of the issues with the starting and running wires to the rear of the vehicle. So here you can see one of the Stinger distribution blocks mounted to a custom mount that I cut on the laser, and then also used threaded inserts and quarter 20 bolts to bolt to the actual chassis of the vehicle. The previously installed wire was pulled out and replaced with Stinger 0-gauge wire, and then covered in Tech Flex and then zip tied along with the factory wiring from the front of the vehicle all the way to the back. Also, the previous installation did have an excess power battery, but it was just way too small to keep up with the demands of the electrical system. So a excess power D3400 was upgraded, and an actual new battery tray from ICT was installed. This battery now should give no problems and have more than enough power to support the demands of the electrical system from the audio and the actual engine itself. The client did have one demand, and that is he wanted the distribution block mounted on top of the battery. He does race the vehicle and wants very, very quick access to all of the fuses and the accessories that he will be adding in the future. So here I came up with a distribution block plate on the laser, cut it out, and mounted the distribution block to that piece of acrylic, which was then drilled and tapped to the ICT battery box. I think it turned out pretty decent, and the client definitely, he was satisfied and loved it. So here's with the actual plate on the top, and here's the finished product. So then I was able to move on to the actual audio, and I was able to get all the wiring for the amplifiers ran, pulled up all the carpet, ran everything, zip tied everything to run along with the factory wiring for a very OEM and very serviceable look and feel. The aftermarket speakers that were installed just weren't getting the job done, and the client definitely wasn't satisfied with the sound. There was no sound treatment done on the doors, and even some of the screws from the speakers were missing, so that wasn't going to work. So I pulled those out and replaced them with a set of Hybrid Audio Technologies 6.5-inch components. I used Soundskins sound treatment on both doors, and then also used Stinger fast rings to help improve the sound from the doors into the vehicle. The factory tutor pods were also in very bad shape. They were cut up really bad, so I had to laser cut a couple rings to allow installation of the Hybrid Audio Technologies tweeters in their factory location. He definitely made it known that he wanted everything in the OEM's location, so I did my best to accommodate his needs and get it done. Space in a coupe is a necessity, so we definitely wanted to keep as much space as possible. So we decided to put both amplifiers underneath the front and passenger seat. So expanded PVC plates were made to house both amplifiers, and threaded inserts and stainless steel hardware was used to secure the amplifiers to those plates underneath the seats, along with Stinger wiring. The 600/1 was for the sub duties, and the 300/4 was for the front components, getting signal from a Rockford DSR1. Moving up to the front, the previous install had 3 gauges up front that just kind of hacked up a factory bezel. So I went on the computer and laser cut actual new faceplate that would house his 3 gauges, which were for air to fuel ratio, boost, and oil pressure. So here you can see the mount with the gauges installed and everything working. And it just, I had added a small Accord logo in the corner for a real kind of OEM plus look. The previously installed radio was taken out and replaced with a Sony AX5000, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay head unit, Bluetooth, which would allow him some of the more modern conveniences that weren't available in 2003 when this car was available. Space and weight were a huge concern with this vehicle. So he had a previously installed JL Audio 10W7 that was removed and replaced with a 10W6 V3, which would give similar sound and output, but required a much smaller subwoofer enclosure and weighed a lot less. So it's kind of a no-brainer to go with that. So here you can see me building the enclosure and going through some of the steps. Also, it was a triple layer 3/4 inch MDF face, and the front of it was wrapped in vinyl, and it's a side ported enclosure. Here are some of the more details as far as the vinyl to carpet transitions. Also, with the laser, giving me the ability to kind of trace everything without having to actually have the woofer there laying around, so I can actually kind of mock everything up and have a visual representation of the subwoofer face or basket without having to actually have the subwoofer there. So it makes it a little easier for me to draw and kind of sketch out my shapes and designs when I'm building subwoofer beauty panels and subwoofer enclosures as well. Weight, like previously stated, was a huge concern. So the actual beauty panels, everything was done out of expanded PVC 1/2 inch. And also something I wanted to do different was, instead of just having a beauty panel that went straight, I wanted it to kind of bend off and kind of disappear into the actual trunk. So what I did was I curved a couple lines in the expanded PVC and was able to bend the actual beauty face, or beauty panel face, sorry, to where it kind of angled back into the actual vehicle. So it kind of makes you kind of focus more on the actual face of the actual beauty panel and the subwoofer versus being so caught up in the actual visuals of the left or right sides. And it just kind of gives you a more focal point of in the middle of the subwoofer or the middle of the actual beauty panel of the trunk versus just, like I said, just being so caught up in the sides. So it kind of just gives it a little disappearing effect. Here you can see the face insert with the different layers, and here you can see it wrapped and ready to go. And just kind of say one of the pressed in inserts to kind of give it a little breakup. I don't really like really just kind of flat panels. So I like breakup lines and stuff like that. And then also here you can see what I mean by the panel angling back and kind of disappearing. This also makes the carpet to vinyl transition just so much more seamless and so much smoother. Here you can see it's all done, all wrapped up, ready to go. We have some of the silver from the accent trim and vehicle. And then you have, the black to match everything else, because he blacked out the interior, and also added a little light and used some resistors to kind of dim down LEDs for more of a kind of a hue versus just having a real strong light. Sometimes I think kind of having a dimmed light gives a little more of a kind of cool halo effect. So hopefully you guys like it, or the client loved it. So just kind of let me know what you think in the comment section. And as always, thank you so much. Also, if you stay a little bit longer, I will show you guys some of the before pictures. So hope you enjoy. Thank you. Nah, I'm not gonna call them out. But got this beautiful 600 horsepower plus Accord. Working on a couple days. It just gets better and better, man. I'm talking about just stupid. Did a battery location and they ran the wire through the fender down in through this. I mean, come on, man. This is got to do better. We got some cable here, and then check this out. So this was run on the fender, and as you see, it pretty much burning through or scraping through. So it's only a matter of time before this is gonna actually make contact with the inner fender. And I mean, this is how you have fires. No fuse, no circuit breaker, no nothing, man. Like,